Welcome back to the Jade and USA podcast. My name is Josh. I'm joined by my lovely co-host Janie, and it's been a while. It's been a while since the last time we recorded. We were on a little bit of a hiatus, but for good reason, for a good cause. If you guys remember the last episode, Janie got a job and moved to a new place. So, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so obviously you should probably know us by now, but yeah, I'm Janie. I got a job. Woohoo. Um it's tough out here. So I just got a job in the Seattle area. Um I moved out here about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I guess it's been a long, long time since we've recorded. Time just flies, but I am super excited to be out here. Um, I have two roommates I'm super excited to be rooming with. My job is going well so far. Not super concerned about it. Um, yeah, that's like the big things, I think.
Okay. Was Seattle like somewhere you like wanted to move to, like going into this whole like process of like moving and finding a job and everything?
So I did want to be on the West Coast. Seattle was actually nothing or nowhere like I expected I'd be. I had never thought about living in Seattle. I was kind of aiming towards Southern California, but I'm happy that I'm here. So yeah, I didn't really expect it. It just like everything fell into place, and then realizing after I got the job, like I don't know, like I said before, like I didn't want to get too committed to an idea of moving to one city or another, so I'd never like researched Seattle, but I didn't realize how big the Asian population is. It's about 16% of the population out here, which is crazy coming from like less than 1% back home in the Midwest. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of Asian people out here. Um, I feel like half the people I see when I look outside are Asian. So it's kind of cool.
No, that's really cool. I feel
Yeah.
like it must be a lot different. Like I can't imagine.
Hmm.
Um, just like from under 1% to like 16%. Like get that it's just gotta feel like a lot different.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very, I don't know. Like it's different, but it's not. Because I'm also like interacting with these people. Like most of them are strangers, so like it's not like I interact with them too much. But I just
But you
went to
kind of just like
Costco.
feel but you just feel like you're
Yeah.
not alone. Like you're not as like different
Hmm.
from everyone.
Like I feel less of like an outsider, and also it's like if strangers are like staring at me, it's like different when they're all like white people versus like just like I don't know. To me, people like Asian people are just like norm. I don't know. Like that's my normal. Like not that I'm used to that, but like it doesn't feel like I don't know. There's like something behind it. You know? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that later on. But
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Hmm.
Maybe we could put the feelings and thoughts into words.
Yes.
But I'm curious to know, how did you like find your place? How did you find your roommates? You said you had roommates. Like I feel like everything kind of had to come together really quick. So how was that whole process, and like how'd you end up finding the place you ended up staying in?
Yeah. So it was a pretty quick turnaround from my offer to like me moving here. But honestly, I was like okay with that because I just wanted to get out of the Midwest. And yeah, I was like, I've been waiting for this moment because I feel like my life is like finally getting to start. Um, so yeah, quick turnaround is about 2 or 3 weeks. I found these roommates through one of our mutual friends, actually. Our friend Allie. She listens to the podcast. We met her at Con this summer. She's
That's
great.
Valley.
Shout out to Allie. So she has a friend from college, and that's one of my roommates. And then the other girl, my roommate found, they're like a Facebook, like Seattle Facebook roommates group. So it just happened to work out almost perfectly. Like we're all the same age pretty much. We're like all college graduates. We're all wanting to be on the east side of Seattle, which is like we all like just agreed we wanted to live in one area, and then we all wanted to move in at the same time, and we had the same ideas for the same type of apartment or place. We ended up with a townhouse, and it's pretty nice for what it is. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's great.
for finding the place, actually, we used Zillow. There's like a ton of places you can look at. There's apartments.com. I know someone who's found their apartment through Craigslist. Probably don't recommend that, but there's like a billion places I feel like you can look at. And before I had these like roommates, I was looking for a studio. And it's like rough out here. Seattle is expensive. And I was looking at this like teeny tiny, or like a couple of them, like 200 square feet, not even some of them. Like you can like put your arms out and touch both walls, like that kind of studio. And then everything is shared. There's like shared laundry, shared kitchens, like that was not going to be a good situation. So I am very, very grateful this all worked out.
Yeah, I feel like you got a good setup going on.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy for you.
thanks.
Um, uh, yeah, so I think for this episode, we wanted to kind of talk about like, it's obviously like the big update, us and especially Janie's like her moving to a new city, bigger city, place with more Asian people. So we wanted to kind of talk about different like tips for like moving out. I know you just kind of moved, but I've been out of Michigan in a new bigger city for about 9 months now. So I have somewhat of a handle or like some regrets or like some things that like I think work for me and some things that I think would have been nice to know before moving or just some things that I think worked out well that I did think of. So I wanted to pass those along in this episode. So yeah, I just have a little list here. It's going to be a little rant, but um, number one is obviously do your research on the different areas and neighborhoods, especially if you're in a bigger city. Obviously, all these different neighborhoods and like sections of even like one city have completely different demographics, like age, um, you know, more younger people, more married couples, people with kids. Um, Crime obviously is a huge important thing to think about. Another thing you want to think about, number two, is like how's the public transit? Do you like, so does that mean like do you need a car? Like are you going to be close to where like the transit stops are that you need to take to places you're going to go a lot, like work or the grocery store or something like that? um yeah, proximity to work, proximity to grocery stores, proximity to like the gym, somewhere you're going to go a lot is something that's really important because that's where you're going to really like spend a lot of time going to and from. So if you're a lot closer to those places, obviously you're going to um, have a lot more time back commuting. Number four, yeah. Um, if you're working from home and you end up just like moving to a bigger city for that reason, just because you want to get out and you end up working from home, but you're still moving, maybe you want to get like a nicer place. Maybe get a one bed or look at a one bed instead of like a studio because then you can like separate your bed, like that part of your day, and then like work, have like your work set up somewhere else. I think that's like a good play if you're working from home. Number five, uh, may or may not apply to you, but I think it will applies a lot to like younger people like post grad. Is like, how do you plan on forming social circle? Because you realize once you get out of college that you're not surrounded by people that are 19 to 22 anymore, and you're gonna have to like actually go out of your way to meet people. So thinking about that, putting yourself
Mhm.
out there, like how am I gonna like do I want to make a lot of friends? Like what does that look like for me? Um, and then number six, the last one I had was like outside of work, if work was like the main draw, why do you want to move to this place? Like if it's just like I want to move out of where I currently am. Yeah, that could be a good reason if you're like trying to get away from something or whatever, but I think you should also kind of know like I want to move to a bigger city because there's more new experiences, new people. You should have like an idea for why, rather than just like, oh, I think Chicago's cool, and I want to live there. I don't know if like that alone is like enough, you know. So, um, yeah, that's my little list. It's not the perfect list, but that's kind of what I thought of pretty quick before we started recording.
Mhm.
That I think are really important things to think about.
Yeah, those are definitely important. Um, for me, I kind of want to give some tips on like the actual moving process and like moving across country. 'Cause it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know. I mean, you would know like if you're moving across the country, like it's not gonna be easy, but just like logistically, it's pretty hard. What I did is I flew over to Seattle. And my parents came with me. So a tip if you're bringing a lot of stuff, which I brought a good amount of stuff, I still feel like it was the bare minimum. Um, but we flew Southwest, so you get 2 free checked bags per person. So that's super helpful to do. And then you can also bring, instead of like a suitcase as a checked bag, you can bring certain dimension like cardboard boxes. So it just has to be like under 50 pounds, and then their website will say like it's usually like height plus width plus length. Um, so yeah, that was super helpful getting a lot of my big stuff here, like kitchen items, lamps, I don't know, bedding. Bedding is hard too. Also, you should get the little like vacuum sealed bags. You can get them off Amazon. You can get a hand pump. That's what I use for all my clothes. I brought like probably 6 bags of those full, and I still feel like I don't have enough clothes. Um, that's just me, maybe. So yeah, big tip on that. You can like ship your car. I right now do not have my car. Hopefully, we'll be getting it shipped, or one of my family members will be willing to drive 3 days across the country with my car and then fly back. That's also an option. But if you do ship it, I think you're allowed up to a certain poundage of stuff. So like you can also pack big stuff into that. But also like Facebook Marketplace is a good place to go for furniture. I got my like bed frame off of that. Um, Costco is good for a cheap quality mattress. And I don't know. Sometimes you have to thrift. I did my desk that I have here. It's thrifted, but it's pretty nice for what we paid for it. So yeah, I think those are my big tips on moving across country. It's a lot, and I don't know. You just have to be calm, cool, and collected about it. Which is not necessarily what my family is known for, but it all works out in the end. So those are my tips.
Yeah, I feel like I would be stressing out not being able to have like all of my stuff.
Yeah,
Because when I moved, I was able to like bring everything in one truck. So
that's so nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I miss my stuff,
um, yeah.
but it's
But
okay.
no, I think little by little you're gonna start accumulating, and if yeah, you get your car shipped or driven over, you can get
Mhm.
most of the rest of the stuff. I would imagine.
Yeah,
So
so not too bad.
okay,
But
okay.
yeah, um, what else should we talk about?
Oh yeah, we can talk about like our expectations of like moving to the new cities and like how the reality is once we've actually been here for a little bit. I know I've been here a lot longer in Chicago than you have in Seattle, but I think I can at least start talking about that because
Mm.
so yeah, so Chicago, I only like visited like a couple of times when I was a kid, which is like crazy because it's so close to Michigan and it's only
Mhm.
like 4 hour drive or whatever. Um, it's like a pretty big city. We just like didn't go that much. I remember there's a lot of family. There's like this photo of me when I was a kid, like my mom took of me at like Shed Aquarium. I was just like face plastered against like the glass. Just like a photo that I would always see in like my house. So that was in Chicago, but that was when I was like probably like a 4 or 5, and I don't really remember anything when I was here. But when I got to college, I met a lot of people. Cause a lot of people at UMich are either from Chicago or they moved to Chicago afterward. So that was kind of always in my head, on top of the reason that like, oh, I wanted to get out of Michigan because I feel like I grew up there, went to college there. Like there's just so much more to see, and I wanted to move to a bigger city because I felt like there would also be a lot more diversity in, I guess, just like the population and everything, and I feel like there's just a lot of things to do. A lot of more younger people move there, so those reasons I wanted to check it out. So I actually just like moved here without really having like a good reason other than like getting out of Michigan and like moving to a bigger city, and this was the closest one. Which is pretty, which is valid enough, I guess. But
Mhm.
I didn't even like really visit before, so I just kind of was like, it'll work. So it did end up working. So yeah, I think my expectations were that it was going to be like really big. There's also those like things you hear about, like, oh, Chicago's like one of the most dangerous cities in America, whatever. It's like a shooting every day, um, which isn't wrong probably, but like at least it's a huge city and there's like completely different areas.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I ended up choosing an area that was not like right downtown, but a little bit north, so it wasn't as cramped and like claustrophobic living as like I would be like having like these 50-story buildings to my right and left, but it more like a residential kind of vibe. But still has like all the stores and like the hustle and bustle, just people walking around. Younger area, which is nice. So yeah, that was thankfully like a good choice. I really went in blind with that. But yeah, people very nice, similar to like the Midwest like trope of like people are like generally pretty nice. Like it didn't really feel like a huge change between moving from Michigan or like Ann Arbor to like Chicago in the area. Obviously, there's just gonna be like bad apples here and there, but like that's everywhere. But it did kind of feel like where I live kind of does feel like Ann Arbor in a way, where it's like city, a lot of businesses, a lot of stores, a lot of restaurants in a small area. Buildings very close together, townhouses. So yeah, it's like that kind of vibe where I live. But yeah, I was not really expecting much, but I just ended up really liking how it turned out. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you see yourself staying long term?
That's a good question. I ask myself that like at least every week.
Mm.
I don't know. I think right now my plan is to stay here. So my lease, I resigned my lease, so it goes until August 2025.
Mhm.
And then after that, we'll see. Maybe I'll do like 6 more months. But if not, I might move. Want to move like out west or something like that. See what that's about. Which is
Pretty
crazy because that
cool.
seems like it's only like it's like less than a year away. But
Yeah. West
I
Coast,
still
West
feel like I haven't.
Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I definitely want to go out there at some point. Know what that's like because I would feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't. Just for like a year at the minimum. I think
Year?
it'd be fun.
That'd be,
At least.
yeah,
Yeah.
be a big move for just 1 year.
Yeah, You always say 1 year, you always say one drink, and it always ends up being, so.
That sounds like a you problem.
No, that's not speaking from personal experience. I'm just speaking from general population. I don't have a drinking problem. Okay.
You can
Actually, don't.
stop
That
whenever.
sounds so bad.
You just don't want to.
Wait, I actually don't have a problem.
Clip,
Don't.
clip
Yeah.
that. Just
No,
kidding.
please don't. Okay. So, yeah, you're right. It would be a long move for 1 year,
mhm.
but who knows? I don't have
You have any
anything holding
ties?
me here right now.
Nothing?
So,
Not even your family? Your parents? You're an only
well,
child.
my
Seems so
parents
sad.
aren't in. Like, I don't even see them that much, anyways. They're still
Yeah.
like
Mm.
4 hours away. So,
Okay.
yeah,
What? 4 hour drive? 4 hour plane ride?
exactly. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good plan.
What about you?
For me.
Expectations versus reality, and then
Okay.
how long you think you might stay.
Mm. So my expectations honestly like have been met. I don't know. Like I knew like the area I was moving to, which is also like more residential than it is city. So like I knew what to expect. There's like not a whole lot of going out around me, which is fine. I don't know. I like a wide variety of social activities. So it'd be nice to go out to some like cool places, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe if I end up really liking Seattle, maybe I'll move closer into the city. I don't know. Something like that after my lease is up. But for now, I
For
have
sure.
a year here in our town home. It's pretty nice though. It's like spacious, so I think I unfortunately get used to that. I don't know. Expectations versus reality. I did know like I've been on the West Coast before. Like I've visited Portland and like Oregon a couple of times, and then one of my brothers lived in Southern California for like the past 6 years. So I have always been kind of going in and out of SoCal, just visiting, experiencing a little bit of it. It's not like you can do a whole lot in those visits. But then, of course, last summer I lived in LA for a couple months, like 3 months. So that gave me a little bit of a better taste. And yeah, everything worked out really well there. I had a car at that point, like a rental car. I had my own little studio apartment, so that kind of gave me like a good taste. And honestly, if I would have moved there like at this point in my career, it would have been a completely different experience. So yeah, maybe I'll wait a couple of years and then kind of want to make my way down the coast. We'll see. But yeah, right now Seattle is a great starting place. There's a New York Times like article or something that had the top 10 best cities for new grads, and Seattle is like I think number 3. It's top 5 for sure. So it's expensive out here, but I don't know, like living with roommates, that makes rent so much more manageable. And then yeah, I need to budget anyways. So learn how to do that. Not a big deal, but yeah, totally worth it. Completely worth the cost of living versus like being back in the Midwest at home. So I'm not worried about it. I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new chapter in your story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, and then wait, what was that? There's expectations, realities, and then
how no, you kind of touched on it, just like how
Oh, did
long
I?
you might stay here.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking right now timeline of like 2 years, something like that. I mean, I might end up really liking it. We'll see. We're about to go into the like dark period, which is gonna be scary. Everyone talks about like the winter as if it's some apocalyptic thing. It's like it only stays light out for 8 hours, which I'm already starting to see like I'll get up in the morning, get to work. It'll be still kind of dark, and then I'll probably leave work in the dead of winter, and it will definitely already be dark. So scary.
Yeah. But I feel like it's not like you're gonna be encountering like crazy blizzards or anything
Hmm.
like
Yeah, it'll be
anything like
decently
that.
warm, to be honest. I think they
Like you're
say
yeah.
coldest it gets is like 30. Probably not even that long. So barely any snow. Um, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited
so I
for the
feel like you're
holiday season.
tested. Yeah, I feel like you're
Yeah,
tested by living in or growing up in
Midwest.
Indiana. You know
Hmm.
what it's like, the cold
Yeah,
and everything. I guess you were in southern Indiana, so maybe
southern on the river.
it's not
Yeah.
as bad.
Yeah, honestly, school. So that was like three
Mhm.
and a half hours north of my hometown. That winter was probably the worst winter I've like encountered, besides like visiting Chicago. Um, and it's just like it snows a lot more up there because there's no like I'm not by the river, and then it's like further north. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine Chicago winter. I think like Chicago was on my list of places to move to, but the winter was like the biggest reason I didn't really want to. Um, it just sounds
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah. Well, this past winter, so I moved in January for some context. So was it the full winter? But yeah, it basically was.
Mm,
Um, and it was this past year was extremely like mild. There's like 1 week weekend actually that was very very cold. It was like -30
oh,
for like three
like
days.
ugh, I could not.
But
I've
then,
never.
but everything else was fine. It wasn't even snowing that much. It was actually so manageable. Um, but it's no different than like any Michigan winter that I've already grown up with like my whole life. So all the people that are like freaking out, like, dude, it's like winter for like 10 months, bro. It's actually like those people are like straight from like California or like
Mm,
Texas or something.
yeah.
Like have never seen like snow before. So um yeah, but no, absolutely you're right though. That
Mm,
is something that I do hate about the Midwest is like yes, I try to say that this past winter wasn't that bad, but like
it was
still
bad.
like winter. So
Yeah.
uh that's something I would be looking forward to not experiencing again if I
Hmm.
were to move somewhere warmer. Yeah.
Yeah. The only times I've experienced Chicago winter is visiting my friends. Actually, yeah. So a good amount of my college friends live in the same town as one of my brothers, conveniently. So I'm up in the Chicago area a good amount. But I remember one time, my friend and I we went into the city to go ice skating on was it Millennium Park? Is that what it is? No, I don't know. But
Yeah, probably.
yeah, the little like figure eight thing. So it was fun, but I was in like Air Force Ones and it was like basically a blizzard and it was terrible. Like it was like that SpongeBob episode where they're like walking through the sandstorm and like they can't see anything. That was it. It sucked. It was so bad. And then I've also never felt the sensation of my snot in my nose freezing until I was up in Chicago.
Wait, what? You never felt that when you were
No.
growing up one time?
No.
That's like that coldness was how it was when I was saying it was like -30 that one weekend.
Yeah.
You step outside and you just like your breath is taken away.
Mm.
You're not even like you have snot. It's just like your nose hairs are just like
Mhm.
contracting.
Ew.
Um, yeah, it's just it really makes you feel alive, right?
Oh. Nope. Not
No,
for
I
me.
actually it's horrible. I was actually I'm not going to say who, but I had a friend visiting that weekend, and we couldn't do anything because it was so cold. And it was like, of course, it was that
Exactly.
weekend,
Mm.
so we were just like shuffling like along because we just weren't gonna take an Uber for like 2 blocks. We just wanted to go to this restaurant like 2 blocks away, so we had to walk. We're like hyping ourselves up to walk 2 blocks, which would normally take like 3 minutes in non-cold weather like that. But because it was freezing, it was like, I mean, it was like less than 10 minutes, but we were like running, like almost running. But it was just so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Like that's the worst part of winter for me. It's like not wanting to go outside. So like even this past winter I got over it a little bit. Like I started working out more regularly, but like it's so easy in the winter because it's so cold, especially like even like outside of your bed. Like I have a heated blanket on my bed. It's like cozy. Like I never want to leave it in the winter. But like to force myself to A, work out, and B, go out in the cold, like that's just all the cards are stacked against it. I don't know.
Yeah. That's when you really gotta discipline.
Yeah.
You gotta
Though in art.
those
But
excuses pile up on you. But yeah, no, I feel it. I feel it though.
So anyway, super excited for the 40-degree winters here. Not excited for the rain. It rained. Oh god, it rained this morning. So the weather's been pretty nice actually since I've been here. It's only rained like 3 days, and not like the entire day even. So it's been pretty sunny. Yesterday it was beautiful, like no clouds in the sky. And anyways, I woke up today. It was dark and it was rainy. And then I missed my bus. And I didn't even miss it. It was running so late because of the rain, I assume. I thought it was just not going to come. So then I was like, great. And I started walking towards the next bus stop. And then my freaking bus passes me. And then the buses are so infrequent here. They're like every 40 minutes. So then I stood out in the rain for 40 minutes for a bus. And then I continued my hour commute after that. And it was terrible. It like, luckily my socks did not get wet. But the rest of me, like my jacket was not very like it's like double lines, but it's not waterproof. So then I was like, I don't know. It like soaked through by the time I got into office, and then my lunchbox kind of got ruined. Lunchbox. Yeah.
No.
So you guys should pity me. But other than that, my day was good. No one was in office, so I kind of just screwed around because I had nothing to do. Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest
I know.
thing about the winter.
If it rains, it's gonna be a little late. Probably.
Yeah.
People freak out when it rains. I can't drive all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It happens here too.
Yeah.
I think people might not, though.
Yeah.
It rains so much in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
You should be used to it, right? But maybe not.
I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm sure in some capacity it's like they're very like eco-friendly up here. So there's probably like people who walk or bicycle or whatever to work or school. And then they're like, nope, it's raining, I'm going to hop in my car. So it's just more congested.
That's a good point. That is probably another likely cause there.
Yeah, because if I had a car, I'd be in that thing ASAP. So, yeah.
For sure. All right, what was that thing earlier that you brought up that I said we could get into it later?
The thing about the white people?
Yeah, I was like, huh?
The being in public and like, and the population being diverse versus being white, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like a hard thing to articulate, like these thoughts and feelings. I think like if you know, you know, as a person of color. But I don't know. I've thought about this. I don't know if this is like the best analogy to use.
Okay. Here we go. Hit me.
I don't know. So, I don't know. To explain to like any white people listening, and they're like, what does diversity matter? Why does it, like, what's the big deal or whatever? Like, for us, right? Like being in the Midwest and growing up in like a very, very white population, just like even going out in public or like even, I don't know, just being in spaces with a lot of people and they're mostly white, you always get these like, I feel like when I get stares by white people in the Midwest, it's always like a you don't belong here type or like what I don't know. Just like I don't know how to explain that feeling. And it's not always just that, but it's like something. And it doesn't feel like it's not like a curiosity kind of stare. It's like a like I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. So I think the only way I can equate it, and it's like the whole in groups and out groups thing, is like if you're a white person and you're in like say an area full of non-white people of a certain, I don't know, any kind of race or whatever, and you feel that sense of discomfort, it's like, but you think about that, white people only have to deal with that a small fraction of the time, and the rest of us have to feel like that same kind of discomfort almost all the time. So I don't know, it's just like very different. At least for me, I feel like. And even like my roommate and I, we went to Costco tonight. Before this, we walked there. It was so nice, such a nice walk. But like, like we said in an episode before, Costco is like for the immigrant family, or not like for, but like a lot of people of color and families of color like going there, and then just in general being like in a diverse area. Yeah, it's not like all the people there are white. And it's like you walk in and like if you do get stares, it's or like looked at or whatever, it's like it's not the same. It doesn't feel as like almost threatening. I don't know if that's too dramatic to say, but yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts.
Mhm.
And I have one thought and one story. So remind me of the story before I forget. But I'm gonna say the thought first.
Okay.
The way that I would explain it is, I feel like, at least for me, I didn't realize. Oh man, how am I gonna explain this? I didn't realize that there was like a different stare or like a different look that
Mm-hmm.
you talk about until you're around Asian people or around other non white people, I guess, but probably mostly Asian people. When you can then retroactively compare like what
Yeah.
how you were viewed by like majority white groups, and that's when you realize like, wait, it's like way different. So, and then there's like this other part of me that's just trying to be not like so hostile and like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's all like white people's fault, everything. Because I'm not. It's like there's some people that have that sort of train a school of thought, which is totally valid, but that's just not me. And it's easy to say like, yeah, they all like look at me and they all say like, oh, he doesn't belong here. All of them think that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think all of them think that, but I do think some of them do,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very obvious. I think, especially as a guy, especially with like as like a Asian guy with like more confidence, I think it's seen more as like a, it's like not like a threat, but it's like, whoa, like you need to be humbled, like kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've definitely had like a lot of interactions over the years with guys just saying stuff like what is this Chinese guy doing here? Like what is like why is this Asian guy here? Gotten in like a lot of, I don't know if I've talked about it in previous episodes, but it's a lot of just like confrontations, even in like the last like 3 years with random white dudes just saying crazy things to me,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm out. Like literally two in the last month happened. Don't have to get into them now, but it, at least for guys, like you can tell, like especially if you're in a group, you walk into like a restaurant or something, and everyone's sitting down at the booths, or like old white people or something, and
Mhm.
it's just you with your other Asian friends, or you with like your other white friends, I guess might be better. But if it's just you, like I've gone to like Coney Island or something, you guys know, Midwest people know what that is, like a diner, and then me and my bunch of my Asian friends from college, and it's just like all old white people in the booths, and like you could just feel like the looks aren't like mean, they're just like looking
Mhm.
because they're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
I haven't seen something like that before. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like weird. So it's not always mean, but it's you always feel some sort of like
Mhm.
something there. But I am trying to like be aware of like try not to like self-inflict or like self-victimize like oh
Mhm.
they like all like are looking at me and they're like all think like I don't belong here. I could like say that, but like sometimes you can really tell, and then sometimes like they're just like fascinated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a couple of instances that are like they have like a different tone of like that, but I totally agree with the whole like I don't know. Even like when I'm shopping, like in stores in the Midwest or whatever, and like I don't know. I feel like the white girls always come
Mhm.
in and they like elbow me out of the way, or like not even like not physically, but like they're kind of like why are like I don't know.
Oh.
Like I'm like less like I don't deserve to be there
Mm.
as much. I don't know. It's like stupid. Um and then another thing, I think like if you're a white person listening, and I think a lot of white people have this like they don't understand. They're like people of color always make it about their race or whatever like all the time. Why do they feel so victimized or whatever? But it's like you don't understand like we can't change the way we're perceived, and like when you get so many reactions of the same type and like that are usually related to your race, it's like that's very prevalent, especially if they're
Can't help.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't help but like think about it like that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, like you as a white person, you don't have to think about your race because by default, all of the spaces are welcoming to you, you know? Um, yeah. So there's that. And then for the whole like um curiosity like kind of thing from like white people, this is like very specific. Honestly, probably very specific to Asian girl adoptees, but like and I've thought about this before, and like this is like totally going on a completely different like tangent, but being out with like my dad or like even my older brothers, and it's just like I don't know, these people have like these weird assumptions that I'm like someone's like little child bride or something, and it's like I don't know. It's like what can you do?
Which
Like what?
which unfortunately isn't like the craziest thing to
Yeah,
think or assume, but
unfortunately.
it unfortunately like is wrong for you, like your
Yeah,
case. But like,
yeah. I'm like,
yeah,
yes, this
I
old guy is paying for my dinner, but because he's my dad. Like,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
I've thought about that too, but yeah, like the societal norms or whatever, that like the reverse of like my situation wouldn't happen as much.
mhm.
So it's like more understood that I'm adopted rather than
Yeah,
uh, like uh like a just a younger like spouse or something.
yeah,
So
a boy
yeah,
toy.
I've thought about that. I've like seen like I've definitely thought about that before, um,
Hmm.
and that has to be uncomfortable at times.
Yeah,
Back
but
to
it's
my
like,
story that I was gonna say.
oh yeah, yeah.
Back to that story I was gonna say before I forget. So there's this one time, it's probably like it was between junior and senior year of college. I was hanging out. I was living in Ann Arbor. That's kind of hard to say. In Ann Arbor during the summer, I was working, and so were a couple of my Asian friends, my Korean friends that were there. They were just also in Ann Arbor still during the summer, either taking classes or just working. And this was around Fourth of July time, so obviously as Americans, we like watching fireworks, enjoying the outdoors,
Hmm.
whatever. And mind you, I have another friend from high school that actually lives pretty close outside of Ann Arbor, and he and I would hang out sometimes as well as white guy. So if it's, I guess, important to the story. And my white friend and my Asian friends have met each other before. Um, but usually when I hang out with my Korean friend, we're usually hanging out with all like Asian people. So my Asian friend hits me up one day and he's like, dude, like a few of us are gonna go see some fireworks like outside the city a bit. You should come. It's like, oh, awesome. Like bet. And I also had like my other friend that wanted to do something that day, my friend from high school. So I was like, okay, yeah, dude, yeah, let's just, you want to come? And he's like, yeah, dude, let's go. So I met up with him and then I met up with, so I don't know if I drove together, it doesn't matter. We got there, then the whole group came together. And so as the group had it, my friend from high school is the only white guy in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, told me after, so we had like a good time, everything was cool. But I could tell my friend was like a little like uncomfortable. He's like more quiet than normal.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, dude, like I felt so like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like everyone in the group was like Asian. So like damn, like I don't know, like I just felt like some of your friends were like looking at me funny. I was like,
you know how I feel.
dude, that's how I feel like almost all the time, dude.
Yeah.
And he literally didn't even get it until like he thought about it later. He's like, oh shit. Pardon my language, but yeah, like I was like, bro, it just was like so mind blowing that he didn't like, for him to even say that, like for him to say it that way rather than to be like, oh, I know how you must feel a lot because I noticed in this situation in the reverse, I felt this way. Like, wow, whatever. But he's like, can you believe I felt like oh my God. It's like no,
world was
like,
shattered.
Dude,
like,
no, this is like,
yeah.
So this is, you
This
now
is a
understand
Tuesday.
how I felt like in high school.
Yeah.
All through high school, dude.
Yeah.
Every day, not just like for 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah. No, for real.
So yeah, that was just a, feel like a very relevant story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was very, I think at least it gave him some idea what it's like to be like one of us and around these white spaces for the most part. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you don't wish that on someone to make them feel bad, but you kind of wish that on people so that they understand, I think. Like some people, they just need to have that personal experience to be like, oh, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had anything like that, but I mean, I will say, like, I don't think I've specifically talked about, I've talked about, right, how like being in LA like was so different because I was treated so much nicer, it felt like. And like that's another thing I wanted to say. I feel like I am treated better on the West Coast than I am in the Midwest. And people are nicer. And like I don't know, people have different opinions. People say people in Seattle are kind of cold, which I'm sure I could see. But like personally, I don't know. I feel better out here than I do in the Midwest. Like it's not even, oh, like more guys are into me. Like it's not even that. It's like people want to talk to me and people want to say hi to me and they want to like, and they compliment me or whatever. Or they're just like interested in like getting to know me and like be friends. Where in the Midwest, I feel like it's not so much. It's more of like, I don't know. It's like a, like, why are you here? Why are you, whatever, like, who do you think you are kind of thing. And like in comparison, I kind of think about, to be honest, like one of my brothers was like, he was like the stereotypical, like football player, athlete in high school, super fun, like everyone wanted to be friends with him, super popular. And like, I think about that and like being like on the West Coast, I feel like that's probably how he felt. Like all through his life, but like also in like high school and things like that. Like I am the person that people like want to talk to and be friends with and like hang out with out here. And I think, specifically there's been conversations or like just like not really even a conversation, but just an instance one time we're at dinner and like something about diversity came up and that brother was just like, well, I don't know, I think our high school is like diverse enough, like why does it even matter? And like that was after my experience in LA, and like yeah, before I didn't know any different, but like the fact that he can say that and he felt so like he has felt so welcomed and so like admired and whatever throughout his entire life, and like I don't know, that like I can also have that, but I was just like put in an environment my entire life that like it wasn't, I guess, in the cards for me. I don't know. It's just it kind of sucked a lot thinking about that, and yeah, that just like has really pushed me out to the West Coast. Yeah, overall better experience, and diversity does matter, I think, a lot. And I don't know, it's like hard to explain like why, but it just does.
I think you made that pretty
Mm-hmm.
crystal clear. I think I agree.
Yeah.
You realize like when you put it like that, like your brother probably was like, yeah, like just his everyday life every day. He was just like
Mm-hmm.
in a cool, safe place,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, generally. But then we only get like little like crumbs of it here and
Mm-hmm.
there, and then unless you're in a place where there are a lot more people, like I use this stupid analogy. You can call this like BS or not, but if I'm like at a bar or something where there's only like jock guys and like white girls that are into like those guys, if I go in there, I'm like invisible, okay?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I am not gonna be seen at all. Like there's gonna be no one that's gonna like value me the same way if I went somewhere a little bit more like diverse or a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
like more Asian probably.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like why would I want to be somewhere where I'm invisible? Why would I want to be somewhere where like I'm very much viewed as
Mm-hmm.
like different and like weird, that I'm not like
Yeah.
assimilated with everyone else in the same way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think adoptees in general like deal with that growing up, where like
Mm-hmm.
we just get like little hits of like feeling good, and then that makes us, or like feeling welcome in like especially us in the Midwest, and that makes us realize that like how great it is or how nice it is for other people that have that like
Mm-hmm.
all the time,
Yeah.
just like one vacation or something or one summer or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah. And like that's a privilege that a lot of honestly white people I feel like have and they take for granted. They don't even realize like that feeling of belonging and like I don't know, just like not having to question your value and where you stand and I don't know, your authority even. Like there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people of color who very much envy that, I think. But
Yeah, no, that's so true.
mhm.
That's so true.
Yeah. So I don't know what else. Oh, we can talk about maybe a little bit more about adoptee stuff and like relating to I don't know. We can talk about I mean, I truthfully do feel kind of bad for the adoptees who like haven't had the opportunity to move out of their um like very white towns, and like I'm I'm also privileged to have been able to have this opportunity and have parents that support me in that. I'm sure there's a lot of adoptive parents that I mean, just like any other normal parent, like they don't want their child to go far away to move across the country. But they, I don't know, but I don't know if they value or even, I mean, some adoptees aren't even aware of like the different treatment that you get in other places.
Yeah, I think obviously everyone, all adoptees kind of operate on like a different timeline with like when they become aware, come out of the fog, whatever term you want to use.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I feel like I see it all the time, like in like these huge Facebook groups or something like that's just like the Korean adoptee Facebook group that has like thousands of people in it or something. It's just someone once a week coming and saying like, "Oh, like it's my first time posting. Like I'm 55. I have grandkids maybe, or I have grown like children. I've grew up, or I've been living in the same counties where I grew up and just got married like young, and now I'm realizing that I have this part of my identity that I want to explore, but now it's like I'm already 55, like whatever. Like man,
Mhm.
like I just hope everyone's doing well. Like that like breaks my heart in a way because obviously the older generation isn't going to have like the same connectivity that we do with like the internet and everything at like our age and their age when they were 30 years ago or whatever. So number one, there's like that's just like a barrier. Number two, like the way that like even I like wasn't really aware, or like if I didn't go to like a big state university that had a lot of like Asian people or Asian students, dude, I probably would like have be like in a whole different mindset um
Mhm.
today. So like if you don't go and have that exposure, it's not gonna like be any sort of catalyst for you to like be aware of like who you actually are, like who you connecting who you're perceived as to who you want to be. So like if you don't have that either, like I don't know, like
Mhm.
it's just really sad. And on the other end of that, there are people that are out there that are aware and like they're just perfectly happy living
Mhm.
their life like the way that I just said that like someone regretted. Like as long
Mhm.
as the person's happy, I'm happy. Adoptees, like in all ages, whatever. But it does break my heart when someone says like I'm like 60. I wish I did a couple different things, or I had like the sort of community when I was like in my 20s. Like
Mhm.
like they couldn't really do anything else. So it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really hard. And the
Yeah.
Midwest being the way it is just like you don't really have you have to be very, very like courageous and brave to like explore outside.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, even if you're an adoptee on the West Coast, I feel like there's a prevalent enough Asian culture that, like, it's acceptable for you to want to, like, be interested in anime and K dramas and want to, like, look into your culture openly and, like, publicly. Like, whether you experiment with your, I don't know, like, clothes or haircut, or, like, if you want to change your name to, like, your birth name, I think that's so much more acceptable because it's not already weird. Like, in the Midwest, I don't know. I think if I had to guess too, to be honest, like it's not really just an adoptee thing. I think a lot of Asian people in the Midwest like just have trouble with their identity, their racial identity, and like where they stand because for so long being Asian was weird. Like it was nerdy and it was dorky and it was
You
um
have these all these labels attached to you.
mhm,
Yeah, I think if you heard of like the whole like SoCal, there's like a SoCal Asian
yeah.
thing. It's like all the SoCal Asians are
Mhm.
like they're like a different level of like
Confident.
confidence, I guess, because they have presumably multiple generations of like living in that area, and they're like their parents might have grown up there, moved there, so like they are around
Mhm.
Asians like all the time. So it's like it feels like they're at like a higher like use like some sort of analogy or something. They're like a second stage like
Like
of us, and like we're just like
oh
very
yeah.
like first stage
Mhm.
still. And they've like adapted over time and have like now act this way because like their
Mhm.
environment has like allowed them to. But when there isn't that many around, then like you feel a lot more isolated and you don't really have as much like
Mhm.
comfortability just like being who you are,
Yeah.
adopted or not.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like oh my god, the populations of Asian people on like especially in California, I think like you can go to schools and the population is like 60% Asian people or even more to be honest. And like that's crazy to me. Like I can't even comprehend going to school with so many Asian people. But yeah,
I
people
know.
say yeah, especially SoCal Asians, they have this like confidence level of white people and like I'm very jealous of that and it's like yeah maybe I'll make my way there but it's not something that was rooted in my childhood and my ancestry I don't know like my parents and my whatever
Yeah. Yeah, they
but
say it's like a superiority complex,
mhm,
but yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of people do have that in SoCal, but I don't have firsthand experience. I can only literally go off of like stuff I
yeah
see online or whatever.
yeah
And I'm sure not everyone's like that. I know not everyone's like that, but
mm,
it's just because they've been in that environment for long enough to have that sort of comfortability. So
mhm,
yeah,
yeah
can't be mad at them for it. It's just how
yeah and it's crazy how mainstreamed
yeah,
even like Asian culture is out there like Dodger Stadium they have like I don't know the specific
Hello Kitty,
dishes but they
Hello
literally
Kitty
have
night.
like Korean corn dogs and like half of their menu is like Asian food. Like that's insane. Like that's
Yep,
so cool and like everyone eats it out
it's like
there and
so
everyone
catering.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Just like that's like a little example, but yeah, everyone drinks boba out there. Everyone eats ramen. Like it's not I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But
you know
yeah.
what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the biggest thing about the West Coast that I'm excited for. Exploring all of that. Um trying new foods, maybe trying some, I don't know, more Asian cooking because my roommates are Asian. Um,
that is exciting.
yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I guess, did I talk about my, like, not concerns, but like, mm, things I'm like hesitant about being out here?
Yeah, you can run through those. We're an hour two,
Oh,
but
okay. I don't have to. But I don't
go
know.
ahead.
Well, specifically because this is an Asian adoptee podcast, so I'll talk about those things, I guess. Just like, yeah, meeting new, like, Asian people and people who are not adopted Asian people. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm like a little nervous about the whole like fitting in thing, or actually, yeah, a couple of my coworkers do know I'm adopted now because they asked about my last name, but which is okay. But yeah, I think I don't know. I'm afraid like when I disclose that, people, yeah, maybe they won't be as interested in hanging out with me for some reason, or it could just be like the Seattle freeze. People say the Seattle freeze is just like locals. They're not like they're nice on the outside, but like they don't actually let outsiders into their circles, and they don't let I don't know. They're like not as welcoming as they seem or whatever. Um,
Interesting.
so could be that, could be other things, but obviously, honestly, you don't know. Could be a combination. But let's just hope that doesn't happen. And
Yeah,
that's just like a silly worry. Mhm.
yeah. No, that's an extremely difficult situation. I think all adoptees can like relate to. It's like, oh, like you think I'm just like a Korean guy, but you just asked my last name, and I can't lie to you. I could,
Yeah.
but might as well just tell you the truth. But I don't know how you're gonna react.
Mhm.
And I say it probably not with the most confidence or like wherewithal or whatever, and then yeah, might
Yeah.
be like puzzled. They might not. I don't know how they're gonna take it, and sometimes, and I'm sure we've all had instances where like, oh, like the middle to the middle from the elementary middle school kid that's like, oh, did your parents not want you, like to that experience, or to like just like a you can tell it's like a disingenuous, like, oh, that's so cool, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard. It's very hard to do that. And
Yeah.
I still struggle with it, even though I've done it a lot of times. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. It's hard. And like I feel like generally as adoptees, like we're pretty confident. There's definitely like adoptees that lack confidence. I mean like rightfully so, right? You grow up all your life feeling different and out of place. But yeah, so I'm hoping I don't know, but there's only so much confidence can kind of carry me through. Like if someone doesn't want to be friends with me because I'm adopted, like I can't lie and pretend like that wouldn't be hurtful at
it's
all.
gonna cut.
Like
It might. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's hard because it's like even if these people do want to be my friends, which I hope they do, it's like would they feel responsible to like teach me about Asian culture or I don't know. Or they should be like, okay, cool, and like I don't know. It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's like the main concern, I guess. And then yeah, I mentioned my roommates are Asian, and to be honest, I was like not worried, but just like thinking like moving in. I'm like, oh, like are they gonna be like teaching? Sorry, cooking like more traditional like Asian or like Chinese food, and like I'm over here with my boxed pasta and chicken. Like I don't know, is that gonna be weird? Is that I don't know, or are they gonna also be like doing the same frozen Trader Joe's meals that I'm doing. Like, I don't know. The expectation is just, it's all over. And I mean, even for non adopted Asian people, I think their identity is kind of a spectrum. So,
Yeah, for sure.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we go, like I remember I was just hanging out with like my one friend from camp, and he's like half Korean, half white. And I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Asians and us
Mm-hmm.
in just like the surface level.
Yeah.
So that like you don't feel like he was telling me that like when he's with a bunch of white people, his white friends or whatever, he's like just seen as like not quite there
Mm-hmm.
all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so he doesn't really fit in there. And then same with like Asian people, obviously, yeah, he doesn't fit in there because he's half white, and it's like
Yeah.
a very clear visual like
Yeah.
discrepancy or whatever. And yeah, I feel like we can relate to that, but it's more internal, and theirs is more external.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Well, I guess that's it for this week. Kind of a
yeah.
depressing note. And on.
No, I think I'll end it with like, if you are adoptee out there, whatever, and you're watching, I'm sure if you are, um, from the Midwest, not from the Midwest, living in the Midwest, not living in the Midwest, don't let it get you down. You're
Yeah.
not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're, yeah, we were not handed the same card or hand as like a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we can wallow in our sorrows and say this was like the worst thing ever and let it defeat you.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, yes, it is very hard to do, but I think if you want to like think about like, oh, would I be happier if I moved to a place that had more Asian people, had more people that represent me? Great. Let's make a plan then to potentially make that happen. Or would you just want to be in more community online spaces where you don't feel so alone? Like doesn't there's solutions, not completely, but there are things that we can do as like a whole
Mm-hmm.
to help us out if we're feeling like this does suck, because it does. This is totally valid too. I'm not telling you to
Mm-hmm.
not feel that way, because I know exactly how you feel. Um, but yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. I just don't want to, yeah, to not end it on like a sad note like
Yeah.
that. I think
Yeah. And I
you're
think
not alone. And there's stuff you can do. Yeah.
mhm. and kind of going off of that, like, I mean, I know I'm totally open to like talking to anyone. Like, we have a Discord channel. No one really talks into it,
Shout out to the
unfortunately.
Discord. Yeah, we don't really promo
Yeah,
that, but same with
join the Discord. But also,
reach out, leave a
yeah,
comment. I don't.
yeah,
Like,
leave a comment.
the channels are open.
I'm okay. Like, you can DM us. Don't be creepy and weird. I don't think you guys would be, but you know, always have to preface that with DMs. But I'm like totally happy. Like, I know I have people. I mean, mostly our friends from con, but people who have wanted to like we've had conversations over FaceTime, like, and we end up talking like a long time and just like about various things, and it's fun. Like, if you want to be part of like a conversation like that, I mean, I know I'm open to it. I'm sure Josh would probably be
Also open to it. Of
yes,
course.
that, and then also our experiences as adoptees are not just applicable to like us as Asian adoptees. Like, it's applicable to, as Josh said, like biracial people, like people with blended families, people with like parent, like say they only have a single parent or whatever, foster kids, like even if you're adopted within the US or anything like that. And I think like we just kind of condense all of that into like our Asian adoptee experience. But like I really do think some of these subjects are like very applicable to other people. And like don't feel bad like if you're like, well, I'm not an Asian adoptee, I don't think I can like talk to you about this or blah blah blah. It's like there's just so many different aspects that adoption touches in our lives, like, and it can be the same and like maybe not entirely of your life, but like of parts of it. So yeah, I think that's a big thing too with our podcast. Like, I don't know, I'm just really glad I get to touch a bunch of people. That sounds pause, not like that.
Whoa!
But like,
Pause.
ugh.
Clip it.
No,
Sorry.
don't do that. But I just like to be able to connect with a bunch of people and resonate with them. I sound so like cheesy and corny probably, but that makes me feel good. I like because these communities and like places like con have made me feel like I belong when all of our lives or all of my life, like it's been hard to really find that feeling. Yeah, I always want to provide that to other people as well. So, yeah, get involved. Feel free to join our Discord, DM us, comment, follow, everything. Share the podcast with your friends.
Yeah, I echo all the things you said. Yeah, definitely open to any discussion or any just thoughts or worries.
Mhm.
An ear to listen. So yeah,
Yes.
on that note, thank you guys for watching. This episode was a little longer, so you guys got a little treat, I guess,
Okay.
for a little longer episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, subscribe if you haven't. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment, like I said. If you have anything to say, good or bad, doesn't matter. And yeah, rate the show on Spotify for listening on there. Appreciate you guys over there. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Good talk. Good talk.
All right. Peace, guys. Have a good rest of your week.
Bye.